it was fraught with a lot of, we need to do a lot of risk assessment and choose the route to get out of Khartoum because there were many options. So for us, we chose the most risk-averse situation that would not put our convoy under any risk of attack, because it's important to find a route that is not being contested between the SAF and the RSF. So we decided to take a very long route to Port Sudan rather than the shorter one, because the shorter one, although it's only about 850 kilometers roughly, there are three areas where it's contested. Whereas the main road that we took going down south through Madani and Kasala, that area, the only problem was the road condition. So we had to ensure that the drivers that we hired were from the region. And that was very difficult to find because they need to know the terrain as well as the security officers that were on duty. To give you an illustration of the difficulties to travel through this 1,300 kilometer, approximately about every 50 to 80 kilometers there's a checkpoint. And every time we reach a checkpoint, we do not know who's in control. But Alhamdulillah that throughout this journey, it was controlled by the government forces, and our drivers who accompanied us or who drove us, they had relations with this securities personnel. And that smoothened the journey. But that does not mean that in between these checkpoints it is safe. We are always under constant threat because the battle in Sudan is very fluid. And the area around Sudan, especially the first 150 kilometers, is very, it's a touch and go. We do not know who is in front of us. So we were very vigilant. We had to travel cautiously. And we were protected initially by the convoy of the UAE government. And we had about 6 buses with us. And that actually provided us a lot of comfort, especially for those with our convoy, because when you travel with numbers, you automatically feel comforted and feel secure. But actually, there were many instances where even convoys that were protected by escorts by the own military or even by the RSF or SAF came under attack from either side. So it was from the onset we decided that we would not use escorts from the SAF or RSF because you become a target. So we had to take that risk, and of course with close coordination with Wisma Putra, we decided to take this route to Port Sudan. Alhamdulillah, during the trip, I think the risk that we had was actually how long we will be on the road. We didn't know because things changed while we were traveling. We were supposed to arrive in Port Sudan at 3 a.m. on the 24th, but we couldn't make it and arrive 12 hours later because in Sudan you are not supposed to travel on roads after midnight to 4 a.m. So we had to make a call to stay, and because initially the plan was not to stop at all because there are so many dangers. When you stop at any public location, you might be hijacked by other people who are trying to escape. So we don't have close personnel, what they call as armed security with us. So it is something that we from the beginning said we would not do. But unfortunately, because of the circumstances, we had to stay overnight in Kasala for about until Subuh. So after that, we decided to move, and then we realized why, because the roads were, if you can call it a road, but it's full of potholes, and the side of the road has collapsed, the shoulder of the road has collapsed, and you go into there's a dip, maybe about 3 or 4 feet. There were some vehicles who actually tried to travel and did not make it. So, and that area is, you can be ambushed because you are going through a mountainside, through a mountain ravine. So it's better to travel in the daytime. But then once we arrived at Port Sudan, there were a lot of other issues because there were strict security checks. But Alhamdulillah again, because we had many, I think we were with the South Koreans and the Japanese, so they were in front of us, and when they allowed it, they all said that we are part of that convoy, so all of us were waved through. But there was a huge traffic jam there that for the locals, it would take about 2 or 3 hours to get into the city. The city is packed. It's full of UN personnel and other evacuees. So we had to make sure that we had to find accommodation and supplies because we were running out already. We couldn't carry much because we only had one or two bags with each of us, and the embassy had provided food enough for 2 days. And we had to restock again in Port Sudan because we need to find out which way out. And Alhamdulillah, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia came to assist.